It's news time, you shits. Hello folks, welcome to another episode of my incredibly sporadic YouTube series, which I only bothered to ever actually record an episode of when something has pissed me off, and boy howdy has something pissed me off today. I'm going to bring up a news story shortly, so I want to make sure I get this right. Now, growing up in Somerset, as I did, there was a local paper called the Western Gazette, which is now online known as Somerset Live. This is not a news outlet I'm particularly keen on, because they have a tendency... Look, they don't really get it, basically. There was, tragically, a murder in Yeovil some years ago, and they reported an update every fucking half hour on Facebook with just... not actual news updates, just, here, do you want to see some more pictures of where that killing went down? And might see some blood on this one. Ghoulish, tabloid, National Enquirer bullshit that should never be allowed. They've also, for whatever reason, spent a lot of effort and time in digging themselves a digital cesspit, which they have filled with UKIP-flavoured piss and hate-flavoured shit, and they've just stirred all of that around and they just let all the idiots fucking swim in it. To explain what I mean, they have a tendency to post meme-type images which are just, will you be getting the COVID jab? Would you let your children have the COVID jab? How do you feel about refugees? But not in any way to open a discourse. It's just that they post the image and then they let people comment. And most of the comments, I am tragically, miserably, god-awfully unhappy to tell you, are filled with hate and stupidity and just... oh, it's the worst of humanity gathered in one fucking online place. Somerset Live, I am not in any way suggesting that this is what you intended. What I'm suggesting is that your social media team or person or whatever hasn't got a fucking clue what actual engagement is. You should be doing better. You are not... that's not news. You are just letting people vent their bullshit online, and you're not policing any of it. And I have seen some really hateful, racist, bigoted, I've seen homophobic, intolerant scum posting on your comments, and you just leave them there because you didn't do it. You just posted the thing to let people talk. I am sure that if you look at the stats on Facebook, your viral reach shows as reasonably good, because all of these arseholes posting then go on and post on other shit with other arseholes, and your viral reach appears to be quite impressive. But you're not actually fostering a community, which you should be as a local news outlet. You're not engaging with people in any useful way. You're just adding to the muck and mire of the internet. So I would call upon you to do better. That being said, the news itself, while not always in any way sensible, because let's be fair, Somerset Live, you did report a little while ago about a local man who went to London and saw Lewis Hamilton in a shop. That is neither news nor local, get fucked. But you do post actual news stories, and one that you've posted on the 2nd of September 2021, today being the 3rd, has filled my heart with joy and hope. That joy and hope was soon siphoned from me by a knife made of hate from your comment section, but we'll get to that. So, demonstration in support of Afghan refugees to take place in Somerset Town. Now, I would have shied away from using the word demonstration, because unfortunately to a lot of people these days, demonstration, one, means crowds and COVID bad. Now, the event itself could be very well organised and socially distanced and whatever, and also I know that all the regulations have changed and it's okay now to go into a crowd, but let's face it, COVID numbers are shooting back up because people are stupid, but so there's that. But there's also the problem that demonstration means protest means riot. That's the logic tree that some people will follow. Now, it's flawed, but it is what some people see. So I would maybe have gone with something like Somerset Town shows support for Afghan refugees, or show of support from local community for displaced Afghan refugees, or something of that nature that wouldn't have instantly attracted the ire. I say this because guess what? People don't read the fucking article, and again, I've got a case in point for that in a minute, but organisers say it will be a peaceful family event. Now, the organiser is someone called Harry Wyatt, and I fucking hats off and salute to you, because you're doing a great thing. They're trying to get people to turn out in Frome, to literally come out and say, welcome refugees, you've been through a shit time, which really doesn't even begin to touch on how awful the situation is, but you've been through a shit time, come on in, have a cuppa, we'll look after you. That is something I would like to see more of, because you don't see much of it. Now, on Facebook recently, I've seen a lot of response to the situation in Afghanistan. In case you've been living under a rock, Afghanistan, war, bad, refugees come here to be safe. I'm going to simplify it to that level for you, because you've either kept up to date on it or you're one of these fucking idiots who doesn't care. So I've seen a lot of bad takes about the situation in Afghanistan, and some of them I kind of understand. I don't agree with, but I kind of understand. I do see people, well-meaning, reasonable people, who are not necessarily as well informed as they could be, and not always to any fault of their own, who have a tendency to call out. It's things like, why can't we look after our homeless, our mentally ill, our veterans, but we can look after refugees? Okay, if you know someone, or you yourself suffer with poor mental health, if you see people sleeping rough, if you know a veteran who's had a hard time, or if you're just socially conscious and you see these people who are struggling, yes, it is shocking the way this country looks after people. We don't do enough, and we need to do more. But it's a false equivalence. If we turn around and say, no, fuck off refugees, we're not taking you in, it doesn't mean that it's like, oh, thank God, all those houses we had set aside for the refugees, we can now turn around and look after these people. It doesn't work that way. They are separate issues because we've made them separate. Humanity overcomplicates things. I mean, let's face it, world peace is as simple as everyone sitting down around a table and going, do you know what, let's stop killing each other. That is literally all it would take for us to stop killing each other. The only reason it is more complicated is because we divvied up the land into little bits, and we put one system of power over here, but one system of power over here, and of course we invented money. So we created most of the problems that we now complain about getting in the way of us solving other problems. But I digress, as is my wont. The point being that one and the other do not mesh, okay? So while I appreciate your strength of feeling on a certain issue, it doesn't make the situation for these refugees any less atrocious, and it doesn't mean we should turn them away at the door. That being said, there are unfortunately people out there, and I very much doubt anyone watching this video is like that, because I don't truck with arseholes. There are very much people out there who just use it as another excuse to be a bigoted, hateful arsehole, and if you are one of those people, then by all means click the little cross and fuck off. I want nothing to do with you. And you can take the anti-vaxxers and the flat earthers with you, because you can all get to hell. To all you nice folk who are still with me, hello. If you have had those feelings about why are we able to do this and not do that, I get where you're coming from, and I understand that gut reaction, but the two, sensibly, the two are not linked. It's the same as the argument you see on Facebook. Why does a nurse get paid $20,000 a year, but a footballer gets paid $75 million? Yeah, it ain't fair, because football is pointless. I'm not knocking it for the people who enjoy it, and I'm not knocking the achievement of the athletes in the game. What I'm saying is, it serves no purpose beyond economically at this point, because we've made it a business. It is a game to be played for enjoyment, which we have turned into an entertainment to be watched, which in turn has become an economic factor. Whereas a nurse is someone who cares for people. They're essential workers. But the two have absolutely fuck all to do with each other, and it's a false equivalence. So if you turn around and take 74 billion off of that footballer of the year, it won't go to the nurse. They're not linked. It's completely irrelevant to talk about the two in terms other than to highlight how fucking stupid we are as a species. So that's one issue. False equivalences are rife. Let's fucking bin them. But I've also seen some just truly hateful hot takes about how we shouldn't let people come to this country. We don't know where they're coming from. Blah blah blah. A lot of stuff about terrorism. A lot of stuff about from people who don't really know what they're fucking talking about. Now, the situation in Afghanistan is atrocious, and we do need to help these people. And the fact that people in Frome are standing up and saying, hey, we just want you to know that we care and we will look after you, that is how we as people should be. It is simple as that. We're all humans. Humans should look after humans. It's not complicated. They've got the local town council supplying tea and coffee. They're telling people to bring out their families and kids. It's going to be lovely. If you are in Frome or the Frome area and you can turn up safely and following sensible precautions to make sure you don't spread COVID, because we're still in a fucking pandemic, please do so. Please show your support. And if you're thinking of going along there to cause some trouble because you don't like foreigners, then instead of going there, why don't you just go to the sea and walk into it and go to the bottom of it and stay there until the last bubble pops. Okay? Now, while that news story filled me with a little bit of joy for a brief fleeting second, I then checked the comments on the Facebook page, and I really fucking shouldn't have. And this is where Somerset Live, you need to do better. You really need to do better. There are certain comments which I agree are not inflammatory and people have the right to their opinions. So one person said, I totally agree, why should our earned money keep them? Now, I don't agree with your viewpoint. I don't agree with your outlook. I think you're probably a hate-filled wank puffin who, as far as I'm concerned, I'll swap you for any number of refugees. Turf you out into the fucking ocean with you, and I'll take someone who is coming from a war-torn nation in desperate search of respite and care and safety, and they can have your house and your earned money because you're not worth it. But that's my opinion, and, you know, you can go fuck yourself. I've seen people saying, oh, this is a bad idea because of COVID. Okay, I get that take. Believe me, I do. But then when they're going to allow the pubs to fill up and they're going to let football go back and they're going to let everyone cram into everything else, because they've taken all the restrictions away, I would ask, and they're saying that people have to be sensible. You can't ask for common sense from people. You can't fucking educate pork. But this is a good thing at least. And this is worth people turning out to. Ideally, I'd like to see people stay at home for another fucking year and make sure that we get shot of it. From a personal point of view, I completely understand it doesn't work that way, but, you know, I'm still nervous about it, so... I then see people who didn't bother to fucking read the article. One person commented, and how can they demonstrate here but they felt they couldn't there? When you get up in the morning, how do you get out of bed without somehow falling on your face and pulling the wardrobe down on top of yourself and somehow catching fire, you hapless fuckwit? The Afghan refugees are not demonstrating in Frome. People of Frome are stepping forward to say, hey, you're welcome here. It's not a case of them protesting the Taliban in the middle of fucking Frome. That's not what's going down. Someone replied and said, because here you aren't shot, hung or stoned for protesting. Absolutely correct. Although, again, it's not relevant because Frome. And they said, exactly, they're safer here, so why demonstrate? They're not. You didn't read the fucking article. You just wanted to be a bitch. Well played. You achieved your goal of being worthless. Here's one. I thought because we're out of EU, we wouldn't open our gates to any migrants. Do you know what? There should be a t-shirt which is, you don't have to be racist to vote Brexit, but it helps. Because I completely understand that there are decent human beings who voted Brexit because they genuinely believed it was what was best for them and their families and their business and their country, and who haven't got a hateful bone in their bodies. I know you're out there, okay? I do. But while you didn't have to be racist to vote Brexit, every racist did vote for Brexit because it was in line with their hateful views. And when Brexit went through, they felt vindicated and became emboldened, and we have seen a rise of their commenting and their hate online. This is unequivocally a fact. Even if you think we should be out of the EU for what you believe are completely sensible reasons, and that is absolutely fine, you cannot argue that there are those who believe we should be out of the EU because they just don't like people who ain't from round here. And those people should not be allowed to be emboldened and have this level of fucking voice. They shouldn't. And I'm sure you agree with that. So, again, bastards. One comment is just, how pointless. Fuck you. But the worst of it all, the absolute worst of it all, is there is a comment on here that someone posted, and again, I'm not going to call them out, but I swear to God it's tempting. But someone commented, should Tesco put bomb detectors on entrance? And then a series of laughing emojis. Do you know what? Honest to Christ, that is one of the most god-awfully hate-filled things that I've seen posted. That's where Somerset Live, you should do better. Yes, people can post their opinions, as bloody awful as they may be, because they are allowed to have their opinion. If they don't think we should let refugees into the country, that's their opinion and they're allowed it. Doesn't mean they're allowed to post it online. I mean, freedom of speech protects you from persecution from the government. It doesn't mean, Somerset Live, that you have to let people say stuff like that. You could actually be a beacon for reasonable thought and kindness in Somerset and just get rid of all these fucking comments from arseholes and block them from viewing your page. I know you're not going to do it, but you could. But that is not an opinion. That is inflammatory, bigoted bullshit. And that should not be a comment I can still see on Facebook. That person should have been removed. And it's been reported. And nothing will happen. Should Tesco put bomb detectors on entrance? People fleeing a war-torn nation, desperate for safety, and all you care about is the fact that because their skin is a little darker than yours, they might be a terrorist. I realise that a lot of you watch these things because it's funny to see the big, large, bald, red-headed man get red in the face and rant at stuff. Hopefully it does entertain you, because bits of it certainly are intended to, but seriously, do better. Because, as I said, humans should take care of other humans, and that's all it should be. And to the person who commented about the bomb detectors, I hope your next shit's a hedgehog. I hope that you take paracetamol for a headache, but they turn out to be dishwasher tablets. I hope that you wet yourself in the night, somehow roll over and fucking drown in it. Get fucked. Stay fucked. Bye.